Hello, friends. I'm so excited to be here with you today. Today we are going to talk about the Schumann resonance, the energies on the chart on this Easter Sunday, and what it means for the next year, actually. And I'll take a quick look at the data charts behind this image. So we'll read the energies and have a little inspired energy thrown in to the discussion. So the Schumann resonance is essentially in the air around us from our feet up into the sky. And its range is from 0 to 40 hertz that matches the hertz range of human brain waves. So I think it's particularly interesting for us to analyze it and check out what's going on. There has been these straight vertical lines in the Schumann resonance for some time now, I think it's been weeks now. And this has happened before. I call it the technological effect, and I have a whole playlist on it, and I have mentioned it in other videos if you want to look at more about that. But there was a pause in it in this chart, and I just wanted to just take a quick look to say that, so this is what the natural resonance normally looks like. And then here you can see how it's different when this effect is in place. But the effect does not limit the abilities of the energy to express. It seems to be, I don't know, I've wondered if it's more of a monitoring function somehow, monitoring frequencies. Okay, so I'm just going to look at the key images on the chart. And essentially, today, Sunday, we have 1 week left of the last week of the natural new year. It about coincides with Easter, and in the natural cycles, that would be the first new moon at this time after the equinox, which is April 11th. So I think that's a Sunday next week. So we have 1 week left. So we have this incredible completion of major cycles of time and then of astrological events. And then we have the beginning of these events once again in a new way, in a new place in human history. And so it's just from a personal perspective, it's a great time to complete things or to begin the completion. And it's a great time to think about what you want to roll out, okay, for the rest of the year. New initiatives and new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking, of treating yourself, etc. Now, there are two main themes that I saw in the images of this chart, reading it intuitively, and that is these images here. When I turned the chart upside down, because sometimes I just like to look at that, it looked to me like buildings, but how I interpreted this was new sorts of buildings. And it's interesting, there's kind of a change between the old and the new. And these buildings there's energy emitting from them. It's like new transmissions, there'll be new architectures, new transmissions. This one looks like the typical obelisk, right, that we've had in so many cities around the world. Some people say it represents a certain energy, but it's interesting because the top of it has changed here. And then you have this tower, which looks like a little bit like a Tesla type tower. There's energy going straight up and down off of it. This looks like a new type of architecture. Like these images usually have looked like churches, in my view. and now it looks like some other kind of building. So at any rate, I don't know what these new architectures will be, but I just thought that, and new ways of transmitting or receiving energy or information. But I thought that it was interesting that they appeared, and the most movement on the chart is actually here. Maybe that means it's also the location of the most transformation and transmission and reception, right? What this obelisk represented and what it might transmute into. That was the first thing, the architectures. And the second thing was the shadow elements of the chart. So the shadow elements are what's unseen or what's hidden. And what I see here, it's kind of like when I look at the clouds and I see what the shapes are in the space of blue rather than what the white clouds look like. So here you can see that there's shapes in sort of a blue, almost like film that, where you're looking at the negatives. And here's another group of shapes. Basically, these look like people to me. Like here's a tall person almost reaching their arm out to the head of a shorter person. Okay, and then here are two tall people with energy between them. And here you have some other shorter people, right? If I looked at head, body, legs. Anyway, what the shadow musings looked like to me, the shadow energies are about how will human relationships evolve. Oops, I just gotta fix the spelling of that there. But yeah, so what will be the form of human relationships related to authority? So you have a taller person, a shorter person, an adult and a child, an authority and over a citizen, a senior and a younger. Where do we meet? How do we interact? Where do we meet as equals? How do we treat each other? And then the other thing was, this looked like to me was like a family dynamic. What is our relationship to family? What will family look like? How will we live as family as we enter a new era, the first new year of these cycles resetting. And I guess someone asked me there was a comment where I went through these cycles in one of the videos, and unfortunately that got deleted because the person I don't even know if they're on YouTube anymore, so their comment got deleted. And so I will maybe in the blog post I attach this, I'll go research that, and then it'll probably take till the end of the day, but I'll put that up on the blog, what the different cycles are astrologically. So that's what I think is going on here. Like as we enter the first new year that's fully imbued with these new energies, okay, and we're ending the old natural year, right? Where, for example, we had the Christmas star on December 21st. We had a specific arrangement of planets that hadn't been seen for 794 years, and so on. So we're in the first new year of that, and these are some of the subtexts that are developing. And it was interesting because this pause and the pause in energies in the Schumann here almost look like the opening to a gateway, almost emphasizing that we are entering sort of a new state of being with the potential to have this humanity evolve. And it will be different somehow. It'll be the same human elements, but we may put them together in different ways, or we may recover the divinity in the elements that were corrupted in our lives and express those again in fullness, So it's kind of really exciting. The frequencies have been interesting. If I look at the numbers behind the chart really quick, the white resonance, and this has been going on for just a few days now in various resonances, but there have been these very tall peaks, going the full extent of the usual range here, and the white resonance in particular hitting high end of the frequency range. And then you have like the yellow, it's both going the extent of its range up and down, but also in these sharp movements. So that's been interesting, except for here where it kind of flattens out. The red has been in these tiny movements, which the tiny movements have predominated, okay, for weeks. But now it's going the full extent of its range, okay, with some, but more limited tall movements. And the most restricted, but very spiky, has been the green. So we're more restricted within our range, because our range can go up as high as, I think, 27. I don't know if I've seen 28. I can't recall right now, but definitely into the 23s down here. So we're in a much more narrow band right now that is very spiky. So I'm just telling you what I see there. I'm not going to interpret that because I'm not sure what I think about that right now. I thought this was really interesting, though. The amplitudes peaked here like to 26, but when you saw it on the chart, it was fascinating. There was no large image that came with it, but there was this very strong vertical line that went through that shape that to me reminded me of the old obelisks. So I just wonder, so there was a lot of powering and here, and I just wonder what that means for what of that, if any, will be brought to the future. Or how that transpires. The shape in the chart actually came when the green and the red plateaued, and that was this interesting, more Tesla tower shape. If I looked at it when I looked at it upside down, so that's kind of, I thought that was interesting. That's where the image really got created, big time, in more dramatically. Let's see here. Since then, the amplitudes or energy has been much lower, and then the qualities really, except for the 25 here, which has had peaks at these images. This right here would be about at the Tesla tower. There was no peak at all at the where that line occurred, but there was this little tiny spike in the green. Although this is low for the green, so. Affecting humanity, maybe that affects humanity the most. I don't know. And then here, the biggest spike in quality was at 14. Let's see what was there on the chart at 14. Da, da, da. It was after the Tesla tower, but without an image attached to it. Just this exchange of energy here between the tower and, I don't know, whatever's being built off of it or transmitting off of it. Kind of interesting. And then since then, we have this space of pause, reflection. So to me, right now, it's a time of musings. It's a time of thinking about, it's almost like that seed, okay, that seed that has been underground all winter. It's getting ready to sprout. And it's time to muse on what we want that to be and initiate actions. So, how do you want your world to be? How do you want your relationships with family to be? Your relationship with yourself? Your relationship not just to authority, but within. And what's surprised me the most lately, what's come up for me the most, is how important our inner authority is and our relationship with that within ourselves and the trust that is needed within, like our trust of ourselves that is required to build on that and then to act out in the world from within that sense of inner authority.